Let's look at lesson 2. This is page 27. God's procedure for accomplishing his plan. Let's say that there was a father who had 2 sons. He said to one son, "Son, I'm going to give you $1 every week of the year. At the end of the year, you'll have $52. And he said, "Oh, great, Daddy. Thank you for that." The other son, he said, "Son, I'm going to give you 1 penny a week. In the second week, I'm going to give you 2 pennies. The third week, I'm going to give you 4 pennies. And then 8 pennies, and 16 pennies, 32 pennies. It's a multiplication process. You know what would happen? With 1 penny times 2 multiplied each week, after 30 weeks, would have 5,368,709,012 people he's discipled. Can you see the difference? In 52 weeks, the kid with the $1 had $52, but the kid with 1 penny times 2 each week would have 22,517,998,123,852.5. That's what he would have times 2. Do you see the difference between multiplication and discipleship? That's why God didn't say, "Go make converts." That's so important. We need to do that. But we don't stop there. He says, "Go make disciples." Multiplication is the method of discipleship. Well, the example of Jesus, Jesus discipled Philip, he discipled the Ethiopian eunuch, he discipled North Africa. On page 30, Jesus discipled Paul, Paul discipled Timothy, Timothy discipled faithful men, and he discipled others. You see the multiplication process here? Here's another one about Jesus. On page 31, Jesus discipled Paul, Paul discipled Silvania and Timothy, they discipled the Thessalonians, and the Thessalonians discipled all Macedonia and Achaia. Isn't that fantastic? Here's another one from Jesus, and this is on page 31. Jesus discipled Paul, Paul discipled Timothy, Timothy discipled faithful men, and he discipled others. Do you see the great process here of making disciples? Let's say there was a great evangelist, and he would win 365,000 people to Christ every year. At the end of 2 years, he'd have 730,000. After 10 years, 3,650,000 people he could win to Christ through mass evangelism. The discipler would have 2 people that he's discipling for an entire year. At the end of the year, they would multiply, and they'd become 4. After 10 years, the multiplying disciple, if they're all faithful and they do their job, they would have 1,024 people they have discipled. You see what's happening here? It would take 184 years for the evangelist to win 67,160 people to Christ. But it would only take 26 years for the disciple maker to do that. But in 33 years, the disciple maker has won 8,589,930,592 people that are being won to Christ and discipled through disciple making. Sounds impossible? Well, it is the way we're going. But if we start working the project, if we start helping people grow spiritually, if we start discipling them, and if we cast a vision to them, train them how to disciple others, disciple them as a disciple maker, not only teaching but living an example, and then challenge them, helping them to get a person to disciple, and mentoring them through the process, being there to guide them when they run into problems, and to become an effective disciple maker. That's what we have to do. And it can be done. But you have to start somewhere. And you have to be committed to the process. Why does multiplication often fail in the modern church? It fails for a number of reasons. First of all, multiplication fails because the church does not instill within new disciples the personal ownership for continuing the discipleship ministry of the church. Secondly, multiplication is stifled because no one in the church effectively trains and guides prospective disciple makers to learn and disciple another person. There's no training. I rarely have ever heard of any training like that. That's why I wrote the book, and I hope people start taking it seriously. Third, effective multiplication is failed because prayer is not held as the most vital ingredient. Make prayer as the center. Pray for the person you're discipling. Pray for the person that you're training. Pray for each person in the process. And hold it before the Lord in prayer. And God will make it effective. Number 4, multiplication is failed because few churches assist the future disciple maker in finding prospects. So help them find prospects. Train them how to disciple. Then hold them accountable. And encourage him along the way when he gets discouraged so he doesn't quit. Fifth, multiplication has failed because most churches do not have anyone directing the effective discipleship ministry. There needs to be a director. Maybe after you get going and discipling people, you can be a director. But someone has to direct the process and be the example and hold people accountable. And, of course, every disciple maker holds the person they're discipling accountable as well. Never allow the discipleship ministry to become a program. Don't do that, folks. It's not a program. It's more about relationship. Following materials, yes, important materials. That's sequentially designed. Following them, but don't relegate it as a program. Number 2, to organize periodic meetings to rally people in disciple making. You got to keep the process going. Number 3, emphasize that once a person has completed the discipleship process, the disciple maker should mentor or disciple the next person. This is the 5th cycle. You know, we went through milk, meat, bread, and fish. The 5th cycle is make disciples. So don't stop after fish. Number 4, disciple making ministries publish quarterly newsletters and hold rallies. And that also is an encouragement to people to continue successfully training people. Number 5, the director or pastor of discipleship should never give up. You can't give up. There's too much at stake. It's too important. What would happen if you would take this serious and you would begin discipling people? What could God do? Here's a little diagram of what he could do through you in a short period of time. Could this be you? I hope so. God bless you. Become an effective disciple and disciple maker. Next time we're going to go deeper and talk more about the context of biblical discipleship and learn more about what it is and how to do it. So come back, study chapter 3 and 4 with me. God bless you.